Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mojo-Farm Photoshop tutorial, part 4, create a custom forum signature. Alright, let's pick up where we left off with our text tips and tricks, and let's move on back into Photoshop. Whoops. See, I took out a piece of his knee and I didn't want to do that. Control Z. Okay, enough of that. Our polar bear's in place. Let's zoom back out. I think we're ready for some text. Or maybe this dragon needs to be flying a little bit. But let's put our in our text first. So let's choose the text tool. It's going to make a text layer right on top of this layer of the polar bears. And up here is our context menu. I've got my text tool chosen. In here, if the flyout shows horizontal or vertical, it also has that same menu up here. But let's choose our font. I think impact is good because it's going to be a nice big fat font. We're also going to do a clipping mask here. 48 is probably good too. Center, so I can just center my my cursor right here. And our we rule name is going to be polar, whoops, I want to capital, ruler. Now, I can either commit this now, but I want to change it a little bit. I guess I don't want to change that a little bit. Okay, I'll show you on the other font. So I'll just commit that because that's about the size that we want. No, actually we want it to be bigger. So let's come over here. Actually, we need all of the text selected. Come over here, and we can either use the drop-down menu, or see I'm just sliding right there where the T's are. Maybe about pretty big. Let's do about that big. Commit it, and now use the move tool to move it into place. Right about there. A little bit higher. Okay, here's another tip. You've got your move tool selected. We've got our text layer selected, but maybe I just want to nudge it over just a little bit. Well, now you can use your arrow keys. By pushing your arrow keys, this is called a nudge, and it just goes any way your arrow, you're pushing your arrow for it. So let's just nudge that into place. Now we're going to add another image because we're going to clip it to this polar rule text layer. Text layers are just like a shape layer, so they work great for clipping masks, and we can show an image right through it. So let's do that. File place. I've got this snow cave thing. It's really big, so I can't even see the handle, so I'm going to have to zoom out. Make it smaller. Move it over. Well, that's probably good. Let's zoom in and see what we've got going on. Move it over a little bit. And let's clip it to our text layer. Again, I've got my cursor right between those two layers. I've got my image that I want to clip to it on top, so I'm going to wait for those circles while I have my Alt or Option key held down and click in between those two layers. There we go. Now let's move that again. I'm still got that image layer selected, and I've got my move tool selected, so I can move that within that mask. So I want to have some of those icicles hanging down. but I want that dark to show. I'd like a little more dark. Let's make that image just a little bit bigger again. Control T to transform. I'm holding my Shift and my Alt key. Okay. Bring that down. Yeah, that's good. Okay, again, really flat. We can still add a style, so let's do that. We're going to come down to here to our effects. We're not adding a can style. We're just going to pull up and say, I want to bevel and emboss this. Give it a little depth. I'm actually going to click emboss, I think. Oops. Cancel that. See, I had the wrong layer selected, and so it wasn't showing it. I had my image layer selected. I need my text layer selected. Now let's try that again. Bevel and emboss. Oh, much better. You can see that right away. Let's do an emboss. Actually, I think I like the outer bevel. It's a little sharper. Change that size just a smidge. Maybe even change that black to a dark blue. Darker than that. See how my color picker comes up, and I can actually choose a color off of my image. So I'm going to do that. Say OK. OK. All right. Almost done. Let's add a little bit more text. Let's go up on top of our, back to our image, because we want our new text to be even above that. Choose our text tool. And down here, let's say polar ruler is level 53. Whoops. Okay, obviously that's too big. So let's double click on all of it. Bring that size down. And now we're going to want to change the font type too, because I have a deep freeze font that I'm going to want to use. Okay, I can do a couple of different things. If I didn't know what font that I wanted to use, I could actually choose one and see it change on my project. But it's really hard to see it with this highlighted box. It's showing me that I'm in edit mode. I can actually hide that. You can see that I'm in edit mode right now because it's showing me this highlighted box that's actually distorting what it actually looks like. So, and you can also see the check mark that I haven't committed my changes yet. But you can, while it's in edit mode, say Command or Control H, and hide that box. And see, I'm still in edit mode. I know that this is all selected. I can still change my font size. I could still change my font type. And here's one nice little way to do that is double click on your font type, your font name here, so that it's highlighted in this menu, and then using your arrow keys you can come cycle through however many fonts you have in your font library here. Say, I kind of like that, I don't like that, you know, and and go through as many as you want. Or if you know which one that you want, I was actually scrolling the wrong direction. And I'm going too fast for it to respond. I mean, for you to be able to see it. See if I go a little slower, you can see them one at a time. But I want to get this one that I have that's called Deep Freeze. So I'll just start typing that in and see it sees that. Say OK. And actually the size looks fine. I'm going to say yes, commit that. Now I'm going to move it to be about where I want to have it. But the color is terrible. Let me throw a gradient down. We're just going to throw a little bit of everything at you today. Gradients are a little bit different. If to do a gradient on here and not get it on the entire layer, I want to do a couple of things. I want to make a new layer to put the gradient on, but I want to constrain that gradient into a little piece. So I'm going to use my marquee selection tool again, and then I'm going to make a little box around my text, and this is exactly where I'm going to have my gradient. Okay, but my gradient, I'd like to use colors from this image where it says polar ruler. So I'm going to be changing my foreground and background colors to the colors that I want to use my gradient. So I'll double click there, or just click there, and I'm going to choose one of these lighter blues. Maybe I'll even choose that blue. Maybe just a little bit darker. Not that dark. Fine. Okay. And click on the white box, which is my background. Choose the darker blue. Maybe even a little bit darker. Say OK. Now I'm going to choose my gradient tool right up here underneath my eraser. And up here in my menu, those are my gradients. You probably have less gradient showing too, unless you've added more. And it's got the same sort of fly up menu where you can choose different colors. And it asks you if you want to replace them or append them. I generally append, and I'll just cancel, but because I want to use my foreground and background, and that's right here. This is foreground to transparent, this is foreground to background. So I'm going to choose foreground to background. My choices are a linear gradient, a radial gradient, this one that sort of sweeps around at an angle, this one that has a transparency in the middle. Actually, it's a background to background, and then there's this one that does like a little star shape. I just want a linear gradient. I'm going to go foreground to background, top to bottom, inside this selection that I have. There we go. In fact, I think I want a little bit more light, so I'm going to go down a little bit below that selection. So now I can deselect because that's what I want, and it constrained the gradient right inside my little box there. Please watch part 5 to view the final signature image containing the New Year's Eve sign.